good morning, good morning. Good morning to you. And yes, it is another edition of the Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley. I am excited because it is our first show of 2016. First off, I'm grateful and thankful to God to still be alive to see another year, because there were many who did not cross over into 2016, and there were some who did, who still did not make it beyond today. I know of two people that had funerals on yesterday, so they made it into 2016 but left out shortly thereafter. So we are grateful and thankful to be here. I am thankful for you who are listening. Those who have been loyal and faithful listeners, thankful for you. And for those who are new or just joining us this morning for the first time, welcome to the Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley. We come to you live each Saturday morning at this time from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock or roughly thereafter. Sometimes the interview goes on. We do an extended version of the Reading Circle. But if not, then we go on into the M&M hour, which is the good news and song, the gospel music. And then we go on into Martha and Friends, which also is the gospel music. So let someone know that we are indeed on the air. Get on all your social media sites. Tell somebody to tune in to gobrave.org. We can be heard anywhere in the world. As long as you have internet connectivity, a computer, and some speakers, you can log on to gobrave.org and catch the show anywhere you are in the world. And if you're in the northern New Jersey area, WP 88.7 FM. Well, if you've been listening anytime, you know my ritual and my routine. On Saturday mornings, I read from two books. I share the weather with you. I introduce my guests. We do a public service announcement, and our interview is underway. So I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and share the weather with you now of what's going on here weather-wise in the northern New Jersey area. Right now, it is 36 degrees and overcast. Clouds. High of 43 today here. Winds light and variable tonight. Showers this evening, becoming a steady rain overnight. Ooh, I like rain, so that'll work. A low of 39. And then tomorrow, Sunday, a steady rain in the morning. Showers continuing in the afternoon. High of 56. A few clouds Sunday night. 0% chance of precipitation during the evening. 100% chance during the day. Monday, the sun pops back out. Sunny skies. High of 31. Low of 21. And then on Tuesday, partly cloudy skies, high of 42. And I am seeing the S word. Snow showers will become more widely scattered later on Tuesday night. 40% chance of precipitation, and that precipitation is snow. But then the sun pops back out on Wednesday. Intervals of clouds and sunshine. High of 28, low of 19. That rounds out the forecast right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. Well, now we read from our opening two books, since this is the Reading Circle. That's why we do read. So for today, January the 9th, from Iyanla Vanzant's book, Until Today. Life will work for me when I realize the only walls, locked doors, and prisons in my life are the ones that I have built. Let today be the day that you develop a plan to clear your mind of clutter, congestion, and conflict. It is called a mental health plan. Free your mind of unproductive, non-essential, potentially hazardous thoughts about yourself, others, and your life. This is called mental health refinement. Clear out all grudges, lay down all burdens, heal all wounds, and settle all debts. This is called mental health freedom. You can use this day to abandon the anger, defy the defeat, forego the fear, get rid of the guilt, shatter the shame that may be clogging your mind. This is called mental health development. Once the channels are cleared, you may find that you have more energy to celebrate your creativity, declare your divinity, embrace excellence, validate your own value, and become aware of all of your blessings. A clear mind will help you make required changes in your life. A clear mind will change how you see things and people. A clear mind is more valuable than a map. It is like a fine-tuned instrument that leads you to exactly what you are looking for. You must have a plan to develop and fine-tune your mental health. This plan will help you choose to whom and to what you give your life's energy. You must take the time to think about what you are thinking about. You must filter through the layers of your mind on a daily basis just to make sure that you are not lost in the fog of yesterday. A mental health plan will keep you from getting stuck. A plan gives you direction. Until today, you may not have had a mental health plan, a plan for freedom. development and refinement of your mental faculties. Just for today, be devoted to planning how you will open, free, and fine-tune your mind to bigger and better things. Today, I am devoted to developing a mental health plan. That's from the book Until Today by Jan Van Zandt. The second book that we read from that I started, I dropped one, for lack of a better word, and picked up another I'd been using for years. But this one, The Power of Being Thankful. For today, January 9th, discipline and self-control. We can live a disciplined life filled with self-control. It is one of the keys to living a joyful life. The Bible teaches us in many places the importance of living a disciplined life. If we don't discipline ourselves, our circumstances will eventually become situations we regret. But thankfully, God's Word teaches us to be temperate, which means to be marked by moderation, to hold ourselves within limits, to compromise between two extremes, or to find the middle ground. Clearly, we are to maintain balance. The area of finances is an example of where discipline is required. I know that's right. It is wrong to overspend, but it is also wrong to underspend. God gives us money not to hoard, but to enjoy. Wisdom means saving some, spending some, and giving some away. In every area of your life, relationships, finances, exercise, eating, career, thoughts, and words, ask God to help you live with discipline and self-control. Don't be led by emotional, in-the-moment thinking. Use the wisdom of God to live in balance and really enjoy your life. Thank you, Father, that you have given me the fruit of self-control, and by your grace, I can discipline myself. You give me strength and wisdom, and you guide me every step of the way. All right, that is from the book, The Power of Being Thankful. And I tell you what, as I said earlier, I am, first off, grateful and thankful to still be here in 2016. Secondly, I am thankful for the guests that I have lined up for this morning. So big shout outs to Nikki Woods, as Nikki contacted me and shared this young man with me. And I said, by all means, Nikki, let's get him on the show. And we have done just that. And he has called in all the way from the largest state in the union, from Texas, where everything is big. I have been to Texas several times, to cities such as Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and everything in Texas is big. So it does not surprise me that we have a big business coming out of Dallas, Texas. And my guest is, his media kit starts off saying, passion in the purpose. And I know that's right. We talked a couple of minutes before going live on the air, and it's none other than Veal, CEO of INC Tutoring. And he's very passionate about math and science, ensures that every client experience is fused with that passion. It is the passion that makes the difference in the level of success for those who are clients of INC Tutoring and those who aren't. According to the National Math and Science Initiative Organization, 60% of new jobs will require skills possessed by only 20% of the current workforce. It is expected that the United States may be short by as many as 3 million highly skilled workers by 2018. On the surface, INC Tutoring's goal may seem lofty. I tell you, everything is big in Texas. They seek to change the world and implement a paradigm shift where students eventually have private tutor all the way throughout high school, rolling into college. With just over 3 years in business, INC Tutoring is doing just that, changing the world one student at a time. Jay is the son of military parents. All right now, Jay is a citizen of the world. Upon graduation from high school, he was appointed to the U.S. Naval Academy, where he spent 2 years. He holds a BS in Information Systems with a minor in Mathematics and a Master's of Education degree in Curriculum Instruction, Mathematics from the University of Texas at Arlington. A certified math instructor, Jay taught at Townview Magnet Center-STEM, Duncanville High School, and other high schools. INC Tutoring clientele come from various districts and private schools in the DFW area. Tutoring preparation from 5 years to master's level. In addition to serving as CEO of INC Tutoring, he is Math Instructional Coach, serving as a mentor for all math educators at one campus in the Dallas Independent School District. He is also an Adjunct Mathematics Professor at Strayer University in Cedar Hill and North Dallas. Jay was blessed with a gift for teaching math. I know that's right, as well as other subjects in a variety of ways that speaks to each student's unique learning style, thus enabling them to achieve results many previously thought impossible. He is also a compelling speaker. His topics on financial literacy and networking have been well received at several prestigious universities. With his one-of-a-kind attributes and determination to pass on his love for the STEM disciplines, Jay exemplifies the INC Tutoring motto. Our passion plus your willingness to learn equals endless possibilities. And for those of you, if you're wondering what INC stands for, not only does it stand for Incorporated, but it stands for, in this instance, It's Not Complicated. Welcome to the Reading Circle microphone, Jay Veal. Jay, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mark. How are you?
I am well, thanks. I told you, I am thrilled. Again, I've been off a couple of weeks. This is my first time back behind the microphones and kicking off the year with a great guest, so I really don't have anything to complain about.
Phenomenal.
I tell you what, I'm going to share some information with the listening audience, and then we're going to come back into the interview. And listening audience, those of you who listen faithfully, you know the drill. You're going to get on all your social media sites. I don't care which one. I don't care if it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Hootsuite, and we can go on down the list. Pinterest, Snapchat, I don't care. Your text on your phone, whatever you decide to do, wake somebody up, let them know that they need to hear this interview this morning with Jay. So we're going to do that, and as soon as we come back, I'm going to resume the interview, or shall I say, as soon as we go back on the air, because I'm not going anywhere, and I don't want you to go anywhere. As soon as we get back on the air, we are going to go ahead with our interview with Jay. So you know what to do.
The cow says,
I love you.
To a child, it's just something else to play with. Lock it up, because 1.7 million children in the U.S. are living with unlocked and loaded guns. Get involved at ceasefireusa.org.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
after a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed, you are. This is our first edition of the Reading Circle in 2016. I always make a big deal over the first and the last. Don't ask me why, but it's just something about the first show of the year and the last show of the year that we always make a big to-do about. And my guest this morning for my first show of the year is Jay Veal, and we have a lot in common. That's why this interview is going to be fun. First off, I'm going to start the interview right off the bat saying Jay cuts across the myths and stereotypes that many have for African American males. He's a STEM educator. His passion is with math and science. So right there, that cuts across, because most folks are not math and science heads. And now you have an African American male who is a math and science head, for lack of a better word. He's also an entrepreneur. He's starting his own business. He's tutoring. His tutoring business has gone viral. And so, again, cutting across what many people think about we African-American males, because most of the time when you look on the news, the only thing you see is either one of us getting shot or shooting somebody. So you don't hear about these stories often. That's why I'm always thrilled to bring them to the airwaves, because Jay is doing what for me is normal, but for many is going against the tide, or at least going against the typical stereotype. Because see, I know the stereotypes and everything that I hear on the news is not all that we're about. And so when I have the opportunity to expose that, I am always thrilled to do so, and we're doing that this morning. So, Jay, I said we have a lot in common, and you heard me say whenever I was starting my preamble, if you will, that I've been to Texas several times. I spent a great deal of time in Texas because I was in the Air Force, and I did my training at Lackland Air Force Base over in San Antonio. And also, I was in the business world at one time and did many business trips to Dallas. So, and I have an aunt that lives in Houston, so I am familiar with Texas. So, okay, where did your love for education and math and everything come from?
Okay, awesome, Mark. Thanks for inviting me to the show once again. I definitely think that's a great question. So, my passion is for math and really kind of the STEM field really started off when I was in school. About 10 years old, I developed in school kind of a love for just doing math at the time, and I was 10 years old tutoring some of my parents' friends and others in college algebra. And so at that point in time, I developed kind of a love for helping others in the math discipline. And at the time, it was more so about, hey, this is something that I love to do. It wasn't a matriculating business scenario at that point in time, but at 10 years old, you just kind of want to, whatever you just love to do, you just want to do it. So I spent time helping others and tutoring them in different math, from algebra to, geometry to other types of things. And I just love to do it as a passion of mine. And so from 10 years old, leading up to junior high school, up until high school, I, fell in love with just math in general. And then moving over to science, I was always a huge chemistry fan. And so I became really good in chemistry, moving over to physics and some other types of, STEM disciplines. And I wanted to evangelize that and help other people. And so moving through to graduating high school and into college, I decided at some point, at the end of 2012 to beginning of 2013, to kind of make it a business scenario. And that's kind of where INC stems from. But it was all about middle school, elementary is where I kind of developed the passion. So I've been there ever since.
That is amazing. So you're telling me you've been tutoring since you were 10?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
10 years old, right and early.
And I can relate to that because, as a musician, I've been playing keyboards and piano since I was 8, and I started playing for different groups and stuff when I was 10. So I get the whole age thing, but it always fascinates me in terms of folks who are, like I just heard, quote unquote math heads. I mean, it's like I have a daughter. She's totally math science. She's 14 now, but she was just like you as a little one. She always was into the math and science. She's done internships at Johns Hopkins University, so forth and so on, because she's lining herself up to one day be a doctor. But she's one that is into the math. She loved to read. She did, at least. I don't see her reading as much as she used to, but as a kid, she did. But I'm always fascinated with math people, and I'll tell you why, because whenever I was a teacher, I taught language arts. And at the model that we were in at the time was we were team teachers. There was 2 of us in a classroom. We had 2 language arts teachers to a class, 2 math teachers to the class, and the kids traveled to each of us. We worked off of each other. And I would get with the math teachers, and I would sit there, and as they're working out equations and all kinds of problems, I say, wow, how do you guys do that? And for me, language arts is very natural. So now they come to my class, and I'm writing essays and writing letters and writing blogs, and they're looking at me like, wow, how do you do that? And so for me, it's kind of like, but doesn't everyone write? Doesn't everyone read? But the truth of the matter is, no, they don't. Matter of fact, what I've generally found is those who have a bent for math generally don't like language arts, and vice versa. So I'm always fascinated by those, because in my mind, and you helped me understand it, and I think you said it in your description about the shortage that's going to come up for high-skilled folks. My mind has always kind of said to me that if you're very good in math, you can write your own ticket. Do you find that to be true?
So I do believe I do believe that to be true. If you are skilled in this day and age in math or science or any STEM-related type of situation, moving into 2016 and, the millennial age of the students now, I believe you can write your own ticket for the most part in getting a job, either creating your own job, but due to the fact that, there's going to be more than 10 million jobs in STEM by 2020, you have to focus on those type of, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields in order for you to become successful and become a great positive contributor to society. But at the same time, they're kind of sneaking in, moving the transition buzzword of STEM to STEAM and putting the arts in there as well.
Okay.
So, you kind of have the situation where those that are doing arts and those that are doing performing arts, they want to get recognized for their talent as well, instead of having to give all the glory to those in engineering, mathematics, and STEM, related disciplines. They do want to, be recognized for those passions and those efforts. So, generally abroad, with different countries, what do they come to America for? Well, they're trying to get jobs in engineering, math, science, and technology, whether it be from India or from the Middle East to Africa to other places. They're coming here to major in those disciplines in college so they can do well for themselves in America or go back and start a business in their own native countries. And so I believe that due to the fact that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are becoming the gatekeepers, if you will, of success for anybody that wants to do well for themselves or, build a future or build a legacy. These are the subjects that they want to major in and do well in, so they can offer some guidance not only for themselves and make their parents proud, but offer something to other people that has never been done before, so they can build on that legacy and, make our generations proud. So,
if you've just joined us, which I hope you've been with us since 6, my guest is Jay Veal, and he is the CEO of INC Tutoring or INC Tutoring, and the INC actually is an acronym for It's Not Complicated. And his business, as well as he, are in Dallas, Texas. And I'm going to share some more information with you because it's time to take another public service announcement sharing time. I don't say break because I don't break. I don't go anywhere. I don't want you to go anywhere. I want you to multitask if there is such a thing, because the debate is on whether or not there is such a thing as multitasking or not. But I need you to do more thing than one. I need you to listen and to get on all your social media sites and let someone know this young man is on the air with me, because what we're talking about is critical. And the reason I say it's critical because it deals with the job market that's now and forthcoming. And Jay is absolutely correct when he quotes the research that says, according to the National Math and Science Initiative Organization, 60% of new jobs will require skills possessed by only 20% of the current workforce. The trick to this whole thing is get yourself into that 20%. If we can get the percentages higher, great. But if we can't, let's think about how you out there in the listening audience, or if you have children, how can we get you into that 20%? And we're going to talk a little bit about that when we resume the interview. But you know what to do. Get on all your sites. Let someone know that Jay Veal is on the air with me.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't seen your lap in months. And even more stuff. But still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Think carrying 10 or 20 pounds of extra weight isn't much? We went to a park, handed 10 and 20-pound sandbags to people aged 45 to 60, and asked if we could follow them around.
10 pounds makes a big difference. Oh, I definitely felt it in my knees.
A few extra pounds each year can cause joint pain and lead to serious chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. Wouldn't you like to drop that weight and stop picking up more? Visit hhs.gov/1 pound at a time to find out how. Obesity happens 1 pound at a time. So does preventing it. Brought to you by HHS and NIH.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed, you are listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley, heard live each Saturday morning from 6 o'clock a.m. until. I actually have 3 hours, and I have some flexibility in that 3 hours, so you got me live from 6 to 9, 3 hours every Saturday morning. And my guest this morning is Jay Veal. He is an educator. Needless to say, a man after my own heart, because I'm an educator as well. And Jay is a young man. Jay is not someone that's been around here on the planet for a long amount of time. I'm looking at his picture and his press kit, and I hear his voice, I hear his passion, and he's not old, and that's a wonderful thing. And right before I shared the information with you, we were talking about how you can get in that 20% that's being projected of folks who will have the skills for 60% of the new jobs. All right. So follow along with the math numbers. Only 20% of the current workforce will have the skills needed for at least 60% of the jobs that's available now and in the future. And I know this to be true because if you look in the want or the help want ads, if there is such a thing anymore, if you look online for jobs, most of them are math, science, technical, information management, information technology, IT as they call it, related. So Jay, my question to you is, can a person who really don't have a passion or really don't like math or science per se, can they still learn it in order to get one of these type careers?
I do believe that's a great question, actually, across the board. We often find that our students that are in high school or in middle school or college even do have they're scared, if you will, to be, good at math and science. And they find it to where, hey, when you look at numbers, they just automatically shut down and say, hey, math is hard, or science is hard, or engineering is hard. But the fact of the matter is that regardless of what subject it is, it's not the fact that things are hard or that students or people cannot learn those things. It's, are you taking the time to really master the skill set and understand exactly what's going on? So whether it be English or anything, if you study it long enough, if you take the time to actually know the material, then you won't be scared of it, because folks are only scared of what they don't understand. So being the fact that that's the case, I think that students abroad, can really get to know math and science and understand, hey, there's things that we do in math every day that we're not necessarily aware of. When you're driving cars, that's mathematics. When you're building houses, that's mathematics. When you're designing networks for organizations and computers, databases, all that stuff is mathematics based. And so, believe it or not, 90% of things that we do out there have some sort of form of math in there. So everybody has the capability to be great at anything, whether it be math, science, whether it be English, whether it be politics, anything that they put their mind to, they have the ability to be great. But the thing is, will you challenge yourself enough to be great and take that knowledge and move it forward to something greater so you can evangelize what you want to do in life? Because there's a couple of things that come into mind in this day and age when we're talking about education and students really learning in the school systems is, what really is your passion, and how can you take your passion and make it something worthwhile, whether it be monetarily fulfilling or whether it be a society type of feeling venture where you just want to do great things for the world. I think the statistic, if I'm not mistaken, is about 60% or 65% of people die before they understand and work in their passion and know what their passion is and what they're put on this earth to do. And being that said, that's a pretty sad thing to when you can't figure out why you're here. Well, sometimes there may be a motive or maybe a reason as to why you were put here. And it could be starting a company. It could be being the next great scientist. It could be the next great mathematician or that person that does things for, politics. But regardless of what it may be, everybody has the right and has the, wherewithal to be great at math, science, and everything else. So, definitely answer to your question is kids, adults, and those that want to be, passionate about what they want to do definitely have the ability to do great in those type of subjects and in STEM. So.
Have you ever ran into a situation where you've come across, and I'm talking mainly the kids, because you are so right in terms of discovering your purpose and passion, but have you ever come across kids that didn't even realize that they liked math and science, and then once they got into the nits and nats or doing something with it, a spark or the light bulb went on? And I asked that question because 2 days ago here in New Jersey, we have a big science center. It's called the Liberty Science Center. And they were at my school doing science projects with the kids, and the project I walked into the classroom and they were dissecting cow eyes, and I loved it. We were talking like 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that were sitting around it. They had on their little plastic blue gloves, and each one of them had a cow eye sitting in front of them, and the instructor had a probe and put it on the dot cam and showed exactly the cartilage and so forth and so on. It was fantastic. And what went through my mind was some child sitting here may have just discovered, as you just said, their purpose and passion. Have you ever run into that situation where the light bulb went on for a kid after working with your organization or with you as a teacher?
Yes, absolutely. In INC Tutoring, we always do have clients or students that come in that really are like, hey, I really don't understand these topics. I don't understand what I'm doing here at the school or on this work. And so they come to us pretty aggravated sometimes and saying they're frustrated. Quite frankly, they're frustrated with repeating work, with not understanding how to go about processes, not understanding where to go in the next step in things. And we kind of have to do things and put it twofold to where not only are we taking them through the path of understanding and comprehension, but we're also mentoring them into a pathway of, okay, what is it that you really want to do at the end of the day? One great thing in consultation for clientele is the fact that we have to get to know these particular students and get to know who they are, what they want to do, where they were, what their past is, what their current future scenario looks like, how they want to succeed, and what their goals are when we're meeting with them. And this takes us to another scenario of, okay, are you okay with trying to be great at something? Are you okay with trying to learn this particular mathematics or this particular subject or this particular science? And so coming to us frustrated, we kind of break that wall down, and then they develop, a light bulb that says, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this stuff. I can do this math. It seems pretty easy. Well, of course, in lack of a better word, it's not complicated to learn because once you get practice in any discipline and really filter out what's bad about a subject and break down the wall and understand, hey, this is something that I can just do with a little bit of practice and time, then yeah, you get a chance to fulfill your so-called prophecy, and you can do these particular things. So the wall gets broken down. They find out that they love working with, whether it be manipulatives, and they're working with their hands on math, or they're working with, they're looking at videos, they're interacting with tablets and technology, and they're able to make a connection that says, oh, math is kind of fun? Oh, I did not know that. Or science is kind of fun? I didn't know that. And they're working on these tablets, and like you said before, they're dissecting animals, they're looking at bone structures, they're looking at chemical compositions of how to make ice cream or how to make, lipstick, or, they're going into figuring out, oh, well, how is it that I can make baskets in basketballs? Well, in playing basketball, well, sometimes, it's in the shape of a parabola. So how do you find the height of the arc that you got to shoot the basketball? Or what are the odds of you winning the $800 million Powerball lottery right now? Those kind of things are real-life scenarios that you can put math and science into use. And so we break those barriers down when it comes to us in INC Tutoring, and then they become happy about their learning, and at that point become passionate about the subject that they were once scared of.
And see, that's where I'm going, because which subject do you teach whenever you're in the classroom? Or do you teach math and science?
So at the university setting, I do teach math. Since I'm in the high school setting, I'm mentoring all the other math teachers. It's all math based. But when I did teach, I taught high school math from Algebra 1 all the way to AP Calculus BC in the classroom for 4.5 years at different schools, from regular schools to magnet schools to charter schools. So it all definitely was math based.
So math is just a natural for you. That's just that to you. That comes like breathing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All I'm telling you, that fascinates the heck out of me.
Yes, absolutely.
And see, I asked the question earlier about can a child or a person, like, almost, for lack of a better term, force themselves to learn it even if they don't like it in order to get to the career that they want. I asked that question because for me, while I could do math and I was always okay at it, it took some work. But one of my career aspirations, you heard me say I was in the Air Force, was I wanted to be a pilot. I mean, I really wanted to be a pilot, but because of eyesight, they told me, well, you probably won't be able to fly because of your eyesight. It doesn't meet our requirements. At least it didn't at the time. I think it does now. But the other piece of that I always kind of thought of was, okay, I know being a pilot, I think, to me, is math intensive. But I always said if I were qualified, I would have learned that math in order for me to be a pilot.
Right.
And so do you ever get, like, for a kid that would say, you know what, I don't particularly care for math, I don't particularly care for science, but that's what I want to do. So therefore, if I want to do that, I'm going to go ahead and learn it. And like you answered the question whenever you said, we all have the capability. It's just a matter of putting in the time and having the discipline and everything else to understand it.
Right.
And this I will say, which again, I can't put in words how it fascinates me, and I'm always happy with it, because even in my school, my math scores are better than my language arts scores.
Right.
And see, for me, like I said, I would think just the reverse. I would think language arts and writing and all that would be easier, but it's not. Because even every morning I do, during morning announcements, and we have electronic boards around the building and everything that we post things. And up until a couple of days ago, I always did word of the day. And then finally it dawned on me, you know what, why don't we do a math problem of the day? So Jay, when I put that up, the kids went crazy. They loved it. Matter of fact, the first problem was an order of operations problem. And they all got that one real quick. They came running to me, Mr. Medley, the answer's 5. The answer's 5. And they were correct. So the next day I put a word problem up. Not as many kids ran to me with that.
Word problems are harder.
That's right. So, but my math scores, I think district-wide, our math scores are higher than our language arts scores. So it's not like the kids, because the kids really, I think with math, there's a few things going on there. You have, one, it's kind of like the answer is either right or it's wrong. There is no kind of like in between. And there are also multiple ways of solving. So the way one kid may solve may not necessarily be the way the other kids solve, but they get to the same answer.
Correct.
And so I think it's something, I don't know, because like I said, not being a math head, for lack of a better phrase, I don't understand how kids actually like math more than language arts, and they do. And like I said, when I went to the math teacher, she said, "Did you hear my class shout when you announced that over the morning announcements that you were adding a math problem of the day?" I said, I'm not surprised, but in any event, so how do you, because by the time you come into play now, because you said it a couple of minutes ago in terms of the folks that you begin working with are frustrated, how do you now come into play with someone who's struggling? Because your business is a tutoring business, and generally with tutoring, that's somebody who's struggling. How does that whole relationship come about? Do they see you as a friend? Do they see you as an adversary? Do they see you as, because like for me, that's like help. That's like the lifeline. It's like somebody's coming to help me. How do they see your company?
Okay, so the dynamic of what people see when it comes to It's Not Complicated Tutoring, otherwise known as INC, we have to really land that relationship first off. What I've seen before in other organizations is the fact that not only do they do things in tutoring, but they don't necessarily really land the relationship really well. So what we do is when we take people in, for the first time, we have a pretty long, I would say, elaborate, about 25 question consultation piece that we do with the students, and it really focuses on a few key things. One is, what do you do? Who are you, first of all? What have you been doing? What grade are you in? What challenges have you really seen in the current grade level that you're in math and all the rest of your particular subjects? Because sometimes what may be difficult in one subject may stem over into low performance in other particular subjects. And so it may not just be one particular thing, but it may be a multitude of other things, that they're struggling in. So really, what does their current situation look like in math and science specifically? Are you really struggling in conceptual particular items, or is it rote, memory type of items, or are you just having test anxiety, or standardized test problems, things of that nature? What was your past performance in history as well? Were you afraid of math? Did you just not like it? Are any other particular people involved in this? Is it location of yourself in the classroom? Those kinds of factors and characteristics. And then we start talking about what their goals are. Where do you really want to be in life? Do you want to go to college? Do you want to own your own business? Are you wanting to be an astronaut? Those kind of things. What do you really want to do, and what is your passions from that point forward? And then really getting down to strengths and weaknesses. What is it that you're having issues with in the classroom? Is it specifically solving equations? Is it specifically breaking down chemistry compositions? What is it that you're exactly having struggles with, and what is it that you're really good at? What is it that you're capitalizing on in the classroom? So bringing those particular questions and getting to know the students, it gives us a really good opportunity at that time to get to know them. Do they have any hobbies? Are they interested in dance? Do they love to, play football and sports? Well, at that point, we can relate certain things in math to sports. If we're talking about, for example, compositions of functions, we relate that to throwing a basketball into a hoop. Well, the basketball is one function and the hoop is another function, and we're placing one into the other. So that's a composition of function scenario. So at that point, we're using what they love and relating it back to math, and they're seeing that there is a relationship to be made at that point in time. So building that relationship is one thing that we have to land correctly in order for these particular students to feel comfortable with us coming into the organization, because whether or not we know the content or not, at the end of the day, if you don't like me as a tutor, or our clientele doesn't like us as tutors in general, then we're not going to get our job accomplished, right?
I know that's right.
It has to be relationship-based, and that's anything, whether it be business, tutoring, in the corporate world. You have to build relationships to get where you want to get to and make things happen. So the relationship, like you said before, Mark, is we have to land that first. And once we land that relationship, we start talking about, we start molding them and mentoring them to do well in their subjects at hand. We've brought in people who have came to us with 60s in math. And at that point, we're like, hey, what exactly happened? And we get to know them. And, 4 weeks later, I'm giving you a real live example here. A gentleman came to us in Algebra 2. He played sports, football and basketball, and had a 60. And so, we asked our series of questions, got to know him, traded a few laughs, built a relationship, got a chance to know his parents. And, 4 weeks later, his mom comes to us and says, hey, look at his report card. And so I'm like, okay, what am I about to see? So I look at his report card, and, at that point you're like, you have confidence, but you're like, what exactly happened? And so we get to the report card, and this gentleman went from a 60 to a 95 average in math in 4 weeks. And so now we're looking at, okay, cool, what exactly happened here? We built his confidence up in mathematics, and then 3 weeks later we get a message from his dad and says, hey, check out his report card now. And this guy has went, from a 60 to a 99 average in math, and not only math, but he improved in all of his subjects to a 99 average. We built his confidence so well that he had no other option but to be phenomenal, and that was only in 5 weeks. And, name a tutoring organization that can build a 45 to 49% increase in grades in 5 weeks. I haven't seen any.
I know that's right. And do you find any difference between boys and girls? Because I know they always get into, I forget which gender allegedly is the one better at math and science. But do you find any difference, or is that a myth as well?
So per research, normally it states that the women are actually better than men in mathematical type of disciplines, technically, but males are more into those fields. And so it's kind of a trade-off. In the tutoring side of the house, it's kind of, I would say it's not necessarily a one is better than the other, or, our male children, our male clientele perform better than our women clientele, per se. But I do kind of notice that our male clientele are more apt to go back and study things and kind of work with you one-on-one at the time. And our female clientele are the ones that kind of ask a lot more questions. Like, hey, okay, I saw you did this step. I'm not sure how to do this next step. Okay, how do we do this? Or where are we going with this particular problem? Or they'll really ask a lot of key questions to guide the conversation and tutoring into another direction to make sure that they understand. Versus on the male side of the house, they'll ask questions as well, but it's all more so about practice. How can we kind of get on this board, do this work, and get everything done?
All right, I'm going to share some more information with the listening audience. Listening audience, you know the deal. Jay, actually, I just liked your Facebook page. I was just on Facebook, and I see you're Jay Veal, CEO of INC Tutoring. So I just liked his Facebook page while he was giving me his last response. I encourage you to do the same thing. Get on all your social media sites and let somebody know about Jay Veal and INC Tutoring. I'm going to share some information with you, and then we shall resume. I'm getting away from that be right back thing because, like I said, we're not going anywhere.
The following is a certified announcement from a WPSC producer.
Hello, my name is Nick Gomez, producer for the Brave Babes here on Brave New Radio. After joining the show just a few days after its first air date, I quickly learned what the next couple of months would have in store for me. By all means, I do not want to paint these ladies in a bad frame. They are well-mannered, respectful,
You think so?
and agreeable.
Excuse me. No.
What I'm saying is, if I'm brave enough to work with them, you're brave enough to listen. The Brave Babes, Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m., only on Brave New Radio.
Want to expand your horizons? Want to broaden your mind? Well, listen to the only show of its kind. Listen to the Reading Circle.
We bring you what's going on in the world of reading, in the world of books. Sometimes the book may be from 20, 30 years ago, because the thing about books, they are timeless, particularly if there's a good message. And then there are times when we do books that are hot off the press, that were just released.
Listen to the Reading Circle every Saturday morning from 6 a.m.
The Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley.
Only on WP 88.7 FM.
That's right, on WP 88.7 FM, live 6 to 7, or roughly thereabouts. However long the interview take, when the conversation is engaging like it is this morning, it may actually run past 7. You never know. But in any event, it is good to be with you again. I am thrilled that I'm talking to a young man who is an entrepreneur, who is an educator, and he is not old. And the reason I keep emphasizing that, again, because if you look at the news for any length of time at all, for the first couple of minutes, it's always a negative story about our young people, and generally a negative story, particularly about African American, and then if you get into gender, about African American males. And this interview this morning is yet another debunking of that, because every African American male is not in jail. Every African American male is not raping and killing and stealing. They're not. Let's be real. And yet we don't hear about the Veals often. So the fact that he has graced our microphones this morning and has the opportunity to share what he's doing, I am thrilled and could not think of a better way to kick the year off than with this interview. And biggest shout outs to Nikki Woods. If you're listening, Nikki, big shout outs to you for introducing Jay to me. Jay, in terms of, because you're in education just like I am, so then you know around the country this whole thing with testing. Do you get any people who, I mean, they're pretty good, they're coming to you not because they need so much help in math, but more so they want to be ready for these various tests like PARCC, and for us it used to be New Jersey Ask. I'm sure Dallas has their testing system. Do you have folks that are like trying to get ahead of the curve?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when folks come to us and when it comes to testing in our state, we have a thing called STAR, which is just like any other particular test that's mandated by state for student success. We used to be something called TAX, but now it's STAR. And then, of course, you do have your ACT and SAT testing for college readiness. And so when we have students come in, we do oftentimes say, they oftentimes say, hey, we do want to get prepared for, and we take our test here going towards the March, April, May time is kind of where testing season kind of starts. And so they want to get ahead of the game and know, okay, well, what's going to be, what's going to be covered on the STAR exam? How do we get prepared for the state exam and be able to go to the next grade? Because I know here in Texas we have, a mandate where they would need to make sure that they pass a particular exam in order to move forward to the next grade level. So they don't want to be stuck there. So our job then at that point becomes, how can we accelerate the learning for these students so they're ahead of the game and ahead of their colleagues in the classroom, and making sure that they get commended results, which are outstanding results on the exam. Because we don't want anybody coming into our organization to just pass. We've kind of banned that word. Ban that word in our organization, regardless if we're doing test preparation or we're doing regular curriculum and content delivery, is we don't like the word pass. And so we replace the word pass with the word excel and make sure that they are phenomenal at what they do. And they come back saying, hey, we've actually, gotten the chance to become, top 5 in our class, or we're the best in our particular grade level at what we do now because of what we hone and tailor our skills. And INC is not just your run-of-the-mill tutoring organization. You know, we're a world-class organization that is a very private and prescriptive approach to tutoring and making sure that everybody that comes to us learns exactly how they need to learn, when they need to learn, in a scenario where we're guided by their particular learning style. And from that point forward, you know, it delivers phenomenal results. And so coming to that, preparing for these state exams and these tests, very easy thing for us to do. Really look at the past tests, have them get prepared for those particular things there, work through some previous tests, and then kind of hone skills that they're weak in, and then move forward into getting them the new knowledge for these particular new tests. But the scenario then becomes, okay, is testing really needed? Well, let me kind of bring you to that conversation piece real fast, because I believe that testing is needed, but it's not necessarily needed in the way that it's happening now. You know, we had no
I could not agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. I say the same thing. I'm of that same ilk and that same philosophy. Accountability is not the issue. We got to have that. We got to know what the kids know.
Right.
But to the degree that we've gone, we're way to the other extreme. I mean, it's almost like we have someone I had on the show one time said we move from getting kids to love of education to fear of education. And because the testing environment is, I mean, literally the kids are tested on a constant basis. I don't even know. And I was a good student as a kid. I really was. And I'm not bragging about that. I mean, the truth of the matter is I was a very good student. I really was. But I don't know if I could thrive in this environment that the kids are in now, where they're being tested every time they blink.
Exactly. You know, we had the No Child Left Behind scenario. You know, Obama just kind of released this past week that was kind of going away, and we're moving toward a different type of testing scenario. But the thing is this: if you build and teach the curriculum as it is, and you hone on all the skills in the curriculum, testing will take care of itself. I mean, I went to school for 3 years in Japan, in Okinawa, and when my parents were in the Air Force, they're both retired, 22 years.
All right now.
And I was in, we went to Korea as well, and at the same point in time, what really the focus was there in the Asia countries was focusing specifically on, the science, technology and engineering and mathematics type of disciplines, but taking that content, honing on maybe 9 or 10 particular skills and doing that for the whole year versus doing a, roundabout way of trying to master everything in the U.S. and spread it over 9 months. It just is not working the way it's supposed to. And if they just fix that, education can be fixed. People think it's something that can't be done. Education can be fixed, and it's really an easy fix. It's just a matter of fact of, are they willing to do that? And, and are they willing to put the business side of things away and the monetary side of testing and all of that stuff from Pearson, et cetera, and then going into, the core, really knowing the content.
Now, see, you just hit on something that we could talk for the next hour about, and that's that monetary piece. And you're right. Absolutely. Again, I share that same philosophy. There's no shame in my game with that. Really, a good piece of this testing thing is beyond accountability. It really is about the money. And because these companies, these test-making companies are making a mint. Test-making companies, booksellers, so forth and so on, I'm convinced the various representatives that sell our district stuff have got to have vacation homes in Tahiti and everywhere else just off commission. And
exactly.
And in the meantime, our kids, and in terms of education, I've constantly told people we are still operating under the agricultural age. And we've zipped through so many different ages with the industrial, and now we're into the technological and the I forget even what they call it now. But we've gone through so many different ages, yet we still operate under the same manner that we did for the most part in the agricultural. Even our schedule is based on the agricultural clock. So I could not agree more. And it's interesting that you were educated partially in another country and had an opportunity to see how they do things.
Right.
And like you said, the results that they get is phenomenal. So for us to be able to look
WPSC-FM 88.7, Wayne, New Jersey.
Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network. Brave New Radio.
Brave New Radio. Give us your tired, your poor, your hungry, your rockers, your punks, your freaks, your geeks, your Greeks, your party animals, your gangsters, your commuters, your residents, your students, your alums, your lawyers, your truckers, your calls, your tweets. And we'll give you rock, classic, indie, punk, alternative, easy, hard, raps, rhymes, mixes and drops. We'll give you kick-ass music because we're WPSC 88.7 FM. Brave New Radio. Sound good?
Straight from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, here's your local forecast.
Right now in the Wayne, New Jersey area, we are at 37.2 degrees. Expected to be cloudy, high around 45. That's what we're moving up to, and then we're going to drop back to 40 degrees. Looks like we're going to have some rain tonight. It's 20%. We're talking math here. 20% chance of precipitation during the day, 100% precipitation chance tonight. So I guess we're going to get some rain tonight. Rain showers early will evolve into a more steady rain overnight, and then tomorrow Sunday morning, 100% chance again of precipitation, a steady rain in the morning, showers continuing into the afternoon, high of 57. Few clouds, low of 27 on Sunday night. Then on Monday, 31 as a high, 22 as a low, full of sunny skies, 0% chance of rain. Then on Tuesday, partly cloudy skies in the morning will give way to cloudy skies during the afternoon. Rain and snow in the evening, 40% chance of that on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, sunshine and clouds mixed, high of 28, low of 19. That rounds out the forecast for you right here from...
Broadcasting from William Patterson University, WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
All right. My guest who was with me in the 6 o'clock hour, and he's still on the line with me, is Jay Veal, and he is the CEO of INC Tutoring. And right before I shared, or we actually rolled over into the 7 o'clock hour, what I had asked Jay was, what was it like, or any challenges, or for that matter, not even just challenges, the opportunities to start a tutoring business. And he's in one of the largest states, or if not the largest state in the country, because you can literally drive in Texas for hours on end and still be within the same state. What was it like for you, Jay, trying to get your business off the ground?
Great question. Kind of started the company off as a grassroots initiative to where it was just me knocking on doors. So it was door to door, stating to potential clientele, saying, hey, we're the new organization in town. It's not complicated tutoring. At that point, before we scaled the scope down from 32 different subjects to math, science, and test preps, we let them know that we did 33 subjects across the board, and we were in your neighborhood. And so it was kind of an informational approach then, not necessarily a quote-unquote selling approach. And so we let them know, here's our business card. Here's some information about us, and here's our website. And back then, it was, more of such a basic website, basic card. in terms of trying to get our brand out. And so then moving forward, we gained a couple clientele at that point, and then we eventually went from 4 or 5 clientele to moving forward. About a whole year later, we got a chance to grow a little bit, and so I got a chance to bring a couple more people on board as tutoring consultants, and we got at that point we moved from maybe 5 clientele to maybe 10 or 15 clientele, and then we started to get to know more folks and started to network around with a lot more people and organizations, and word of mouth kind of took by storm, and social media started talking about what we were doing, and next thing I knew, we're talking with we're doing things with the Jack and Jill organization out here in Dallas, and they're nationwide. Jack and Jill organization is nationwide. We have 9 chapters here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we started tutoring a lot of those particular students in that organization. And then, what we were doing then was saying, okay, well, what kind of subjects were we getting the most? And so it was math, science, and test prep. So in about 2014, latter part of 2014, we scaled the scope down to what we were doing to math, science, and test preps only. And test preps meaning basically we do all test preps except for the LSAT. Other than that, we do pretty much every single other test prep there is out there. So we started to grow in more clientele for word of mouth, social media, and also we revamped our website and branding to what we have now. Had our logo kind of revamped just a little bit, and now our business cards are also critically acclaimed as well. So people like to see our cards, and so we've been giving those particular items out. And to this point forward, we worked with Steve Harvey Mentoring Weekend over here in Dallas. He has a big ranch out here, and he does his program with his wife Marjorie every year. So we started working with them to get a chance to get with those particular young men to mentor them and also offer tutoring services to them if they needed it. Other organizations, we're looking at many mentors organization over in New York City and Connecticut. We're working with them to try and get tutoring services out in that particular area. Organizations in Atlanta, you name it, we're trying to get there to make sure that students are taken care of. Recently, we got Best of the Best in Tutoring and Education here in Dallas for 2015. We've done it 3 years out of the past 4 years here from the Examiner. We're just featured in Black Enterprise last week. So the growth in 3 years, I would say, for an organization of our stature with, for a small business, we've done a phenomenal job. My consultants have done a phenomenal job of just being great at what they do, and we're looking at offering coaching, youth coaching, as well as an additive piece to the mentoring, and wanting to do a nonprofit, later on towards the end of this particular year in 2016. So the Lord has kind of been blessing our path to make waves, to make changes, to not only want to do things here, but the end goal is to have 4 or 5 consultants in every major metro in the U.S. So we can offer these services. So we're not just here in Dallas. We do tutor outside of the area, outside of the state, using technology for Skype, Google Hangouts, meeting type of software, those type of things. We don't let us being in Dallas limit us. So anybody out there, any listeners out there are needing tutoring, definitely we can still do it from Dallas. We just need to make sure that we have the technology, you have the technology as well. And, this day and age, technology is a big thing.
That's
big
right.
Buzzword. So we don't let those things stop us. We have, people that we tutor in Atlanta, Chicago, Houston, and other places as well. So
I know that's right. And because any of these, there's a couple of tutoring organizations that come to mind that are at least USA-wide. I don't know if they're worldwide, but I know in the country there are certain names that come to mind. And I am sure that's how they got their start. the same way you're launching out and expanding and going to different states or what have you. I'm sure that's how they got their start as well. So I'm going to be looking forward to hearing about INC Tutoring. How did you come up with the acronym?
Awesome question. So it actually wasn't my doing. My mom is actually helps me out in the organization as my communications executive, and she's the one that actually thought of that name. We were talking about what to name the company one day, and she was like, well, nothing was ever really that hard for you in school, and it wasn't that complicated, so why don't you name it that? And I was like, that's interesting, and it's unique. Nobody really has that approach to it, so why not name it It's Not Complicated Tutoring? And so that's kind of how it spun off. I do give full credit to my mom. She's the one that came up with the name. I didn't. So that's where we spun it off, and we've had a lot of people say that it's very catchy, so I'm kind of glad that she helped out in that manner, and now it's becoming a household name, especially here in Dallas and in Texas, but region-wide, it's becoming a household name. So big ups to my mom, Gloria Veal, who's also with INC Tutoring as well. She also works at Microsoft Corporation, which I've worked for before as well. So big ups to her.
I know that's right. Well, we're at that point in the show where you have the opportunity to give big ups, because I always give the last few minutes of the interview the opportunity for you to promote. And you can say anything other than the dollar amount, but anybody you want to shout out, like your mom or like Nikki or anybody else, you have the opportunity to do that, as well as to promote the business to the listening audience, like your websites, how they can get in touch with you. One last question, though, before we get into that point. It was Black Enterprise Magazine, am I correct?
Yes, sir. BlackEnterprise.com, their online element. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you were featured in there. So talk a little bit about that experience.
Very phenomenal. I had got the message from Miss Nikki Woods, who works with us in PR perspective for the organization, and when we got the email and stated that Black Enterprise wanted to interview our organization, it was just like, wow, Black Enterprise is like one of the largest, if not the largest, entrepreneurial and business organizations for our community in the nation. And so
that's right.
When we got that news, it was just like, wow, we finally got a chance to make it to this level where we can have a brand that's recognized nationally for what we're doing. And in the organization, the word kind of went through, and on social media it went through, and it just was a great experience for us to, be able to evangelize what we're doing in our brand to those that don't know that there is a minority-owned organization that does phenomenal things in education and tutoring. And it was a portal for us to go through and be able to say, hey, you always have those particular things that say, hey, as featured, as seen on TV, or as featured in X, Y, and Z.
Right.
This is our opportunity to now have a bigger brand be affiliated with what we're doing and being recognized as what we're doing. And it was a great blessing. So awesome thing.
Yeah, I see here also Washington, D.C.'s Exceptional People magazine. You're on the cover of that. You've been in Good Life Family magazine in Plano, and I see the National Urban League Young Professionals feature. So the word's getting out there.
Yeah, we're making some headway.
I know that's right. One last thing before you do all your shout-outs. I am very familiar with your former superintendent. He just left there a few months ago, Mike Miles.
Yeah.
And he was your superintendent. I followed him. I know Mike personally, so I kind of followed his career whenever he left Colorado and then went into Dallas, and now he's back in Colorado or somewhere. But that was an interesting experience, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. There was some great things that were implemented into DISD per that situation, and now bringing back, Dallas has had a lot of different things and challenges that have happened in the district, but we used to have Michael Hinojosa, who used to be superintendent, and now after Mike Miles left, now he's back.
Okay.
As superintendent.
Okay.
So that's a little different, but from what I understand, things are working a little better in the district from when he was here the first
Okay. We're kind of experiencing that in New Jersey with our commissioner of education. He's doing his second tour. Our commissioners kind of did the same thing. There was a commissioner, then there was somebody in between him, and now he's back again. So, all right. This is the time for you. You can, like I said, anything other than dollar amounts, you're free to share.
Yes, sir. Well, everybody out there that's listening, we definitely want to give an awesome and huge shout out to Miss Nikki Woods, who has allowed us to get out the platform of what we're doing to not only other media outlets, but to Mark's radio show here, and based out of New Jersey. So we're very thankful for that. Definitely going to shout out to my consultants out there, from Jana George to Krista McQueen to my executive Gloria, to Noah out there in Ohio, to just everybody that works with the organization, I definitely appreciate. But in regards to social media, those out there listening to the radio station, please definitely follow us on Facebook at INC Tutoring, or It's Not Complicated Tutoring. You can look us up on Facebook. On Instagram, you can look us up at INC Tutoring. Another affiliate Instagram is INC CEO.theprof. Regarding me being a professor as well. In addition to that, you can contact us on Twitter at INC Tutoring, Periscope, INC CEO .theprof, and on LinkedIn, of course, INC Tutoring, or It's Not Complicated Tutoring. If they do want to email us, they can always email info@inctutoring.com or j.veal or g.veal. V as in Victor, EAL, at inctutoring.com. Or, of course, if they want to contact us via phone, always they can go to 682-777-8213 for that. But I definitely want to give a big shout-out to you, Mark, to open up the platform, to have us on the show, be able to let people know that there are great things that people are doing out there in the world, whether it be in education, whether it be in as an author, or whether it be as a poet or anything else out there, that we're not, like I said before, we're not just doing, as a people, we're not doing a lot of bad things. We're doing a lot of great things. And to be the only minority-owned private prescriptive tutoring company in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we really appreciate all opportunities for us to come on board and discuss the positive things that we're doing in the communities to uplift our communities and not tear down our communities.
Absolutely.
And other communities as well. So thank you much for that.
Well, thank you again for rising early, because while it's 7:20 my time, it's about 6:20 your time. And again, the conversation has been inspiring. Just the fact that I can look at your photo on the press kit and see, again, just how young you are and how far you've gone. God bless, because we need more and more of that. And the story of stories like this need to be heard more. I mean, I think brothers like you and sisters and other young people, they need to be featured on the news more than all this constant killing, so forth and so on. I don't know why we're so attracted to who got killed yesterday opposed to who just started a business. Exactly. I don't quite get that, but I know bad news sells. But I tell you what, I think if we were to start hearing more good news would begin to sell too. So I am always of that ilk of sharing as much good news as possible. Nikki and I were it was me and you that was texting each other last night when I said I'm always happy to share good news. And I'm thrilled to share this morning. And for those of you in the listening audience, if you have the opportunity to take advantage of Jay's services, because he's branching out. And like he said, with technology, they can do it through Skype. They can do it through various technological media that he doesn't even have to be there in the place. We can do it through our computer screens and TV screens and so forth and so on. So if you take advantage of it, please do so. You have all the ways of getting to him. And again, Jay, have a wonderfully blessed day, and I'll be in touch with you as well as Nikki. And if you ever want to come back, all my guests always have an open invite. So if you ever want to get rescheduled to come back again and talk, we can do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much once again for having us aboard. and stay warm over there in New Jersey.
Oh, the weather this year has been phenomenal. We've been getting Dallas-like temperatures up until like the last couple of days, and even this is not that cold in comparison to what we have gotten. So I'm even happy about that because I do not like cold weather. But this year has been awesome from a weather perspective. It really has.
Well, stay away from the tornadoes we've had here.
Oh, that's right. You all have, and now that I've been seeing on the news as well. Folks lost everything. So they're in our prayers as well. But again, I wish you nothing but the best, and I'm looking forward to at some point seeing, just like I see some of these other places that have locations in their name and they start franchising out. I'm looking forward to seeing the same thing from INC.
Yes, sir. Thank you much.
All right. Take care now.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, we kicked the year off with an inspirational interview. A young man doing great things, doing many things. He's an educator as well as an entrepreneur. He has the 2 E's.